Perfect. Okay. So to also do conferences with students who don't seem to be reading, to discern reasons and create contracts, because pretty much I had the students who weren't reading were the ones who continued not keeping up with the reading. So besides the survey, maybe write a self-reflective essay on their reading habits and how to improve them. All right, now I'm trying to get back here.
Every time you click, it thinks you're editing it. That's why it keeps.
Oh, okay. I just want to move it. So maybe I shouldn't have clicked editing. That was not my mistake. Because I just want to show it, not edit it.
Can you click show in the right-hand lower corner? That arrow.
Oh, yes.
And then it should give you. Then you have arrows to go forward and backward.
On the side.
On this down in the lower right-hand corner.
Okay, I'm trying to make it. Sorry, I'm almost in here. Okay. Oh, well, I'll just tell you what it says. The other thing was to have a speaker come in and talk about, possibly from UC Berkeley, and come in to talk about, here we go. Okay, what's effective and what's not effective. A speaker to come in from UC Berkeley to talk about the importance of reading, and maybe from a business or organization to talk about, you know, reading reports or whatever, how reading is used in the workplace, and also pairing up students who read a lot with students who don't read a lot and having them do joint projects. I'm sorry that I can't get this thing to work. Okay, so conclusion. Okay, now all my things have disappeared. Try to figure out what can encourage them to read more and to understand the role that reading can play in their futures. Okay, so now I need to know, now I just need to not set up the frame one. Okay, sorry about that. But it is really cool if you get it to work. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. What was the exact in-core question that you guys had?
Oh, how to look at why students aren't reading and to try to get strategies to help them read more and to figure out ways that they can reflect on that.
And you were focusing basically on beginning readers, like was it 269?
Yeah, then I had 201, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since most of our youth are digital babies now, do you guys engage that conversation with them in the classroom about how much reading they're doing on Facebook, or that maybe reading in small bits of time just as they look at things in bits versus long periods of time? Does that seem relevant to them? Does it work for you to talk about that? I don't know.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah, I actually talk about, you know, the literacies that we come in the classroom with, and yeah. I ask them to list all the things that they consider reading, but they generally, when they think of reading, they think of books.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those things where we got to encourage, like, no, actually, you know, the Facebook, the blogs, or, you know, so bringing that stuff into the classroom is certainly has been helpful. Though they still, I think, they've internalized the notion that reading means books.
But what about those little pads now that you can read?
Yeah, the Kindles.
Yeah, the Kindles. Are they? Do you think if that became more available, that would encourage, or?
I don't know. I mean, there's people now that there's a number of students who have Kindles and who use them in their classes.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a marked difference in that if they read more if they have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there in front of them. I mean, most of my books I also have digitally that I offer to students. Like,
Yeah.
if you like that, I have it.
Yeah.
I can use it.
I just had an idea. Is there any research on students who read the same book over and over? Because my guess, this is just a guess, it's partly from my ESL life, the students who've seen movies over and over, they have an enormous, they captured some of the language of that movie and they actually use it. And I know kids who like to read, not all, but read the same book over and over. And I'm wondering whether it's almost like you get to pedal faster on the bicycle or something, just guessing.
I did a little bit of, it's not the same thing, but I chose a novel that has a movie that I knew a lot of people would recognize the character, the Devil in a Blue Dress. And
Did that help?
all semester I kept saying, don't watch the movie, we're going to watch it together, we'll read the book first. And it actually worked. I mean, the majority, and that's a long book, it's 200 pages. And
It's a victory.
yeah, and it was really fun. And we watched the movie and they loved it, you know.
Yeah,
And so
cool.
were able, and the only writing prompt that we did was really kind of comparing the movie and the book. So it was, they didn't feel like they were being forced to write about it.
Thinking about the idea of repetition.
So, I want to say I think that this was really a successful project because you found out something extremely important, which is that students aren't reading because it's not fun for them.
Mhm.
And that is really important because we have a lot of other theories about it. You know, students have working lives and, you know, there are a lot of other things that get in the way. But they don't like to read. That's what it is. And I completely sympathize with that, not about reading because I love to read, but I don't go to the gym. I don't like to exercise. I don't. And I know it's good for me.
Right, right.
And I know that I will live longer, which is really important. I know all the reasons why it's important for me to do. I hate it, you know, and I don't do it.
Gyms, you know, gyms
I don't go to gym,
work.
but you know, exercise. But I mean, so I don't exercise as much as I should. But, so I have total sympathy for that. And what I'd like to know, I'd really like to dig a little deeper into that and find out why they don't like to
Right.
read.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because I think most of the students in 269 can read.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They're perfectly literate.
Totally.
But, so,
Well, and that's the key for that I was looking at, is like that self-reflection. Like, it's fine, like, I have no judgment about you don't like
Right.
to read, it's okay, you're not hurting my feelings.
Right,
Time-
there
So
are all
why?
things we don't like to do.
Right, exactly.
But I'd love to know why, because I
Exactly.
think that if we don't know why, it's really hard to figure out what to do about it. You know what I mean? So I'd like to propose a survey. Maybe that would be something that could be done in English at the 269 level.
Did you ever give an assignment where they could choose whatever they wanted to read?
That in your 1B, right?
I do that in various classes. This semester, they could have, their research paper was anything that they wanted
But it was-
to change. But it was a topic, and for the topic, they had to do their own research and reading, which they did, and they
But it
seemed-
wasn't fun reading, research is.
Well, I know, I was like, you can do DJs, you can do like, what are you interested in, you know, and so hopefully you could find a subject that you would be interested in reading about. And so, for the most part, students were engaged in their research paper because it was their topic, and then the reading was based on their interest.
But what about just straight up fun reading? Like, you know, finding comic books or something that
Sure.
did you guys ever try anything like that?
You did Persepolis, you did
I've done I've done a number of graphic novels, but like, what I think I'm hearing from you is that like, they can choose whatever they want to read.
Right, just because what I've noticed is that there's some people that it's a matter of finding something that it's just another world that,
Right.
you know, they get sucked into.
The question though is how to bring that into the classroom
Right,
and
right,
work
right,
with
right.
like
But maybe that
15
might be
different books.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah. No, I mean, almost all English teacher except senior science teacher was a lot of reading in science. But me, I'm just a math person, for example, and I know that, I mean, don't you think it's also lifestyle, time, it's harder to actually read than doing something easier. You all English teachers, so obviously you probably like to read. But me, even to this day, I read, I do read, I mean, I'm not, but I have to be forced a little
Right.
bit. If I'm confined in the airplane or if I'm sick, actually, you know, incarcerated young people start reading so much because that's all they have to do. I know we cannot recreate something confinement, like don't use a phone. No, but I'm saying that if you go to the root of why they don't read, let me finish. They might not know why they won't read. And they might not exactly know, but we all know they don't have time. It's very easy, very distracting. There's so much to do. It's da da da.
Well, one of the best conversations
Reading
we
takes
had-
grounding, so maybe meditating 2 minutes before who knows? But-
Elizabeth, could I just say something
Yeah,
to
of
that?
course, of course.
What you just delivered
Yeah.
was a hypothesis, right? An
I
educated
love
guess.
English teachers. Tell me what I do. I love
No,
it.
I'm not getting. That was from the science
Okay.
presentation. But
Well,
no, but I mean, really, we don't know why, and it could be honestly. I mean, here are some other hypotheses. This is one that I think might really be a big part of it. For a lot of our students today, ever since No Child Left Behind, K through 12 school is incredibly boring. It's really boring because of the whole teaching to the testing. I say this as somebody who has kids in their 20s, and they have a lot of friends, and I've talked to I have a lot of students of that age. I've talked to a lot of people who are bored out of their mind, and I mean, tedium, you know, and one of the assignments that they had in school was to read. That might be an association. They might associate it with this incredible, boring drudgery. Or it might have something to do with the difference between Facebook and Twitter and reading a book, and the amount of attention that calls for. Or it may be that they have associations of being called stupid, or feeling stupid, or feeling like they weren't able to do things. I've certainly seen a lot of that. You know, I mean, I think there are, what I didn't hear so much from what Tom said about what the feedback he got from students was that they had a lot of other things they had to do. It was more that they didn't like it.
Well,
But I think that I just think that there are a lot of possible reasons they might not like it, and that would be something good to look into.
Well, maybe the final thing I'll say is that early in the semester, we have such a good time in the class talking about not just how we read, but where we read and the content. And we spend so, I share stories, like I used to be able to read, get in bed and read for hours. I get in bed now and read 2 pages, I'm asleep. Like I know I can't read in that environment. So what are the environments that you can do your reading in? If your environment is only on BART from here, then you're going to be limited to your 30 minutes on, and then that's when you get your reading done.
being
And also once you start, if it's something.
So it's like really important, just as much as like what we do when we read, is the environment, the area. So I think those conversations are really powerful, because then when they say that, I
then they
only
become
read
aware of
after I cook my kids dinner and before I go to sleep, then I'm exhausted and I can't do my.
But I think another question is there a book, have you had a book that kept you awake all night? You know, that you couldn't put down?
Well, I like to think that the books I choose are just going to be like that all the time, and they are for about 7 or 8 students. And then there's 8 students who are like, oh, whatever, and then there's 8 students who are like, this is horrible, right? So, like, that's why my last thing was like the content. As much as I like to think that there's a book that's going to speak to my class, there's not going to be a book that speaks to every person.
That's it. That's a problem.
But you guys are English teachers, that's probably why you're English teachers, because you're reading a lot. But if they become aware of when they read and when they get passive, if I stop,
how,
and then once you start and those kinds of things.
are you listening to music? Are you? I mean, all these things. Like, I don't care. Like, do it if you need to do it, but let's think about what it is.
Flew for a week with no distraction, and they'll just get into it. And then they're like, I rediscovered reading when I was sick, really, truly. Oh my God, good. But now I don't do it that much all the time, you know.
Yeah, and the final thing is, like, I asked them what their strengths are. So if they're the reading at their best in the morning, then they know this, and they should save the reading that's the most difficult for the times that they have available to do that kind of reading then.
Yeah.
So, anyways.